Hey, Viking fans, we got a special guest, the luckiest man in Arizona. We're going to talk about that next in 3, 2, 1. Gather around, Skull brothers and sisters. This is Skull World, brought to you at Minnesota Sports Talk. I'm your host, Dave. You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at Skull World. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit like. Now, I'm here to introduce the official, from what I understand, official CEO of Vikings Twitter from Arizona, Jason Harmon. Tell us about yourself. Where can they find you?
Could find me on Twitter. I gotta be honest, I can't even remember right now my exact username. I think
it's really weird.
It in the chat. I think it's
one of those ones where
they gave it
to you.
It's like it's like Jason 777 with an underscore or something.
Yeah, let's put it up. Actually, here you go. Jason underscore Jason underscore 777.
There we go.
He just took the one that was assigned to him. You can change that, right?
I actually picked that one.
Oh, you did?
So I work in the mortgage industry. I'm not a banker. I used to be. And, I like to keep Twitter. So I didn't want, one of my clients out there seeing a meme or something and not understanding it or misinterpreting it and, getting mad at me or something. So the rule of working in the financial industry is keep your social media at least either private or don't put your full name on there. But I just forgotten what it was.
Okay. So, hey, we got the full story of why he chose that. Hey, it was Super Will. Thanks for showing up. We got some guests in there. Michael Harris, hey, glad to have you. Thanks for joining. If you didn't know, and I don't think it's completely out there yet because my co-hosts on my other shows didn't even know, but if you're on Twitter, you'll find out that Jason here made this tweet at Vikings. If you want to give me free playoff tickets, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, friends. And sure enough, Delta out of the blue, and you're saying, say what you said. There was not even a likes, and nothing. Delta actually posted that.
Because if you look at this, it says 8 likes, but that was 20 minutes after Delta responded. I sent this tweet just as a joke. Anyone who's on Vikings Twitter, it is just an endless hole of memes and really stupid humor. This was intentionally one of those things, just scroll by, eye roll, kind of scoff. And 3 days later, I'm sitting there at work yesterday and talking to my boss, and I get a ding on my phone. I look down, see that Delta tweeted me, and I honestly kind of had like a post Elon Musk Twitter realization that it must have been somebody who bought the verification check mark. And then I looked and saw 1.6 million followers, and things kind of unraveled from there. The Vikings responded within about 5 minutes after that, and by about an hour later, I was on the phone with them.
Yeah, so since you're Vikings Twitter CEO at Arizona, it sounds like you really need flights. We've got you covered at Vikings. You got the tickets. They responded within 5 minutes. Who were you actually talking to?
I spoke with Jessica. I forgot the exact name of the department, but I know she'll be at kind of the guest experience table. Jessica, I'm going to send you this so that you can watch it. And I want to show that I'm shouting you out again because Jessica has been freaking awesome. Weirdly enough, apparently kind of breaking the illusion here, but apparently it wasn't that tweet that started this. Apparently this is something where Delta and the Vikings had been planning on the assumption of the home playoff game that they'd want to get an out-of-state fan out there. And they had kind of, I don't know if they narrowed it down, I don't know the scope, but they had seen, they messaged me on Twitter. They were looking at my Instagram too. They saw videos of me at my local bar, Boondocks in Scottsdale, Arizona. If you're a Vikings fan and you're ever in Scottsdale, Arizona. Come through. But they saw me leading the skull chant. Somebody gave me, I had it next to me. I think it's on my couch behind me, but somebody gave me a drum, and I'll jump up on the table and lead the skull chant, which usually is pretty embarrassing, but we'll have like 30 or 40 people in on it. So it's not quite as awful as it sounds. They saw that my wife and I did our pregnancy announcement on midfield a couple days after the Thanksgiving game. And apparently They wanted to get a hold of me. They saw I was planning to host a little watch party at Boondocks out here for the playoffs. And before I spend any more money on necklaces or beads or tablecloths, they called me and got me to stop spending money on that so we could enjoy this experience. So all that stuff we bought, it'll have to wait for next week.
Yeah. So you, how recent did you announce your baby? How long ago was that?
Yeah, so we took the picture 2 days after Thanksgiving. We went to the game. The next day, we went to the museum and the practice facility. And then that Saturday before we left, we did the stadium tour. And it was a long month till Christmas night, Christmas Eve night, actually, of sitting on those pictures, wanting to wait to tell the rest of the family in person, wanting to obviously get a little further into the pregnancy. But we were sitting on those pictures a little bit. And then on Christmas Eve night, once the rest of the family out in New Mexico, where my wife is from, found out, we put them on Twitter and Instagram, I should say, too.
So I have a picture of it too. I didn't put it up right now, but I'm going to put it on the community page. So all the listeners here that will be listening to this video now and in the future, because I will actually push this out to 50 plus Facebook pages,
Wow.
fan clubs, and it might hit yours. Cause I don't know. I'm on like different city ones too. So I think I have one out in Arizona, but hey, I guess they won't have to buy you any plane tickets to go to the Super Bowl, huh? Right. You got plans to attend that?
Plans. I was thinking of ways a while back, and then the baby announcement came, and that has been put on hold. I think it's a solid, and this is without teams being announced, because in the nuclear event, that would be a Bills-Vikings Super Bowl, especially after the game this year.
I would think they would double. Happen.
Yeah.
The rapture would happen that day.
Even before playoffs, nosebleeds were like 6,000-7,000.
I bet.
Honestly, as much as I would love that experience, the number one thing that would mean the world to me even more, and I told my boss this, if the Vikings make the Super Bowl, I am tentatively taking 5 individual days of PTO the week after off. Win or lose, I'm missing Monday, and I'm going to figure out what other days I need, because number one thing I want to do is go to the parade. Even more than going to the Super Bowl, going to a potential victory parade, especially in a blizzard. Oh, it sounds awful for me being from the desert my whole life, but I would brave it, and it would be an experience, because as much as the Super Bowl has this aura, if you listen to like what Joe Burrow said, he said it's like performing at a dinner party, because it's all corporate sponsors and stuff, so there's not a lot of like hardcore fans. But I mean, at the same time, I'm not turning it down, right? But I think if I had to choose, it'd be a victory parade over the actual Super Bowl.
Yeah, I haven't heard people having the greatest experience. It's like I went to like New Year's in Times Square. Yeah, I did it once, and I would not recommend anybody to ever do it again, and I will never do it again in my life. But yeah, Super Bowl pay $7,000 in nosebleed seats to, I don't know, watch people kind of cheer, I guess. I don't know, but
I mean, just like New Year's, hell of a story.
Yeah, it's a hell of a story, I guess. But how did you become a fan, or are you from Minnesota? Tell us the story behind that.
No, I just like being sad. That's the joke I always make. But no, I have no familial ties to Minnesota. My dad was, just like myself, born in Southern California. He grew up on the Marine base in 29 Palms, California. And I don't know what it was. Apparently a lot of people from the Midwest, because first NFL game he ever saw on TV, they were South Fran Tarkenton. And then he lived in Vegas for a bit, saw Randall Cunningham play. Obviously, he went to the Eagles for a bit, but then when he saw him on the Vikings, he piqued his interest, fell in love with Chris Carter. So I have my dad to thank for that. Football, we didn't always have the best relationship. Football was kind of our one real thing. That and baseball, being from California, people read my Twitter bio.
I understand you're a fan of the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's look, I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm a Dodgers USC fan. The rest, and to be fair, with how much I ingest Minnesota sports journalism, if nobody's playing the Dodgers, I'll root for the Twins. But unfortunately, my dad, he did pass away in 2015. So since then, it's been a little more of like, there's this weird, like, kind of almost like daddy issue side to it of like, come on, you got to win for him. So the Minneapolis Miracle, stuff like that was insane. But I do have his starter jacket from the early 90s. And that's something that my dad was a bigger guy.
But Denny Green one? Is it the Denny
Kind of.
Green starter
It's
jacket?
not the windbreaker. It's more of the
Okay.
bomber jacket. I
Oh,
don't even know
okay.
if it's
Those are
100%
better.
starter, but it's that style. But all his stuff was like huge. He was a big guy, but that jacket for some reason, I don't know why, it fits perfect. So that's what I'll be wearing at US Bank Stadium.
Oh, that's
today.
awesome. I mean, I imagine you're going to take a lot of photos of it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Oh
Every
God.
time I'm there, the few times I've been to US Bank, it's always that jacket that goes with me.
And they're actually paying for your wife to go out there too, right? Are they doing that?
Yeah. So when they called me, I kind of picked up on the fact they'd been, stalking me a little bit. Was that they had mentioned my wife being able to travel or not, and I was like, oh, she's pregnant, and so we're 14 weeks in. We're looking good, looking healthy so far. So we're in the
you're
clear,
probably good.
luckily. So, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. First, 2020, we met on Tinder during COVID, and we ended up watching a couple of. She ended up, once we started dating, watching the Vikings games with me at the bar, and now we're full bore into this thing, and she gets it now. She starts to see how what started as just watching a game and getting angry kind of brings this amazing thing together. So
you actually won the lottery twice. You found your soulmate on Tinder, and then some random strike of God gave you tickets to a Vikings playoff game. What are you gonna do next? What's the next thing you're gonna attempt to do that it's just gonna happen?
I don't know. Run for president. I don't know. But with how many people I've talked to today, I think it's good practice. But it's kind of funny because if you look at the string of tweets, people started, and this was so weird, and this is where things kind of got really out of hand. Was people started being like, hey, he's going to need a coat, and tag Shields. And Shields messaged me. They're giving coats to myself and my wife. So shout out to Shields, Delta Vikings, but Shields.
Yeah, that's awesome. Too. Shields is an amazing store.
7th Ave Pizza, a couple bars. Miller Lite messaged me on Instagram a couple hours ago, which is sad. I was hoping, no offense, Miller Lite, I was hoping a little Michelob, Mick Golden, in the Twin Cities, can't get that here, but hey, it's fine. No, but people started tagging it. Somebody tagged Tinder, and they must not have known me, and they said, oh, this guy's going to need a date. And it's kind of funny. So I replied and said, actually, they already gave me one. So kind of funny how that works. But no, I mean, everyone's been so nice. I've had thousands of Twitter notifications. My phone can't stay on, like it keeps dying. A couple weird random people call me a mooch and stuff. I thought this would work. No, not at all. But
and I was actually surprised the fact that I had already reached out to you to actually, as my I was being proactive and going to my Twitter followers to see if they'd follow me on YouTube, and you actually did. And so when I saw you and I went to that, I was like, man, this guy had already started following me, and I and so that was great. So my hope is that I can get you back on after you come back. Yeah. And hopefully under positive circumstances, we hope. But I want to have you on either way just to hear how the story ends. I think that'd be great. And just so everybody is joining a little late here, Jason here sent out this tweet, and just innocuous tweet at Vikings. If you want to give me free playoff tickets, I'd appreciate that, you friends. I actually shot my shot and said the same thing. Hey, Twitter CEO, I don't know if you saw it, but I sent it out right when I first saw it. I said, hey, come join me on my show. And then I DM'd you and you actually responded. So that was awesome.
Yeah, that initial rush of replies, the fact it happened was, there's kind of like three pieces to it that I'm realizing I'm having to process separately. It was, one, the fact that this is happening at all. Two, disconnected from that or not, whether I was just going on my own or it was that way, the fact that I'm going to the playoff game. And then the middle is the social media and the media side, which is probably the least expected thing. I thought maybe a couple people would see the Vikings tweet. It might have a couple hundred likes and some people propping them out for doing something cool. I did not expect to wake up to Pioneer Press, CBS, like, I did not expect that.
And the big guns, Minnesota Sports Talk, Skull World Live.
Hey, I'm ending on a high note. That's for sure. Yeah,
definitely ending on a high note.
Priorities.
I did lie and say this was an exclusive interview. I know you've already did five of them. I have a question from Super Will, who's awesome. Who's come live on a couple of shows on a different channel I do. You going to be on the sidelines? Where are you going to be on this?
Yeah, so the seats are in the 303 level. It's going to be a packed house. So it would make sense that there was probably limited seating available. So I'm super excited. We're in the 6th row, so I'm going to wear my glasses. I'm not the most visually gifted human on earth, so I will definitely wear my glasses. But pregame, we're going to be sideline, that's the part that like made me genuinely kind of have a heart attack a little bit. It got to the point today where halfway through my workday, my boss literally had to be like, you know what, work can wait. Come back Tuesday. You're obviously a little busy right now. So
that's a good boss, man. That's a good boss.
Michelle, my boss, Michelle was looking out for me because
that's amazing.
She knew this was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And it definitely is. So,
one of my co-hosts on a show we actually do tonight, or we're gonna do one tonight, a pop-up show. It's called Skull Live, and we do it on Purple Pocket Podcast, and that's a rap. I call him MC Rap. And also, I call him Purple MLK because he's bringing all the fans together. And he's been on. He's always coming on here to razz me a little bit. But today, he's excited to see you. And he actually lived in 29 Palms. And I actually have a funny story. When I was, I had applied to a job. I was going to be a teacher out of college. I'm living in South Dakota. I put in an application at 29 school district in 29 Palms. This is 25, so that's 24 years ago. And then one in Fort Myers, Florida. Fort Myers, Florida gave me the job, and I just took it. And I could have ended up in 29 Palms.
That's awesome.
But I don't even know what I would have did the taxes. I mean, I would have only been making like $36,000 a year. But yeah, he lived in 29 Palms. What's it like in 29 Palms? He still.
Well, I'm not from there.
Oh, Army base.
So my dad, military base. My grandpa was a Marine, and so my dad grew up in 29. I grew up about 45 minutes away in Palm Springs, so a tale of two cities, right? A kind of very empty Marine town, and then a resort town stuck in the 1950s. But we would go up to 29 Palms all the time to see my grandparents who still lived up there. It's really cool from a historic sense because it's very much built in the World War II era, like that type of Marine town. There's not a lot to do there. There's a McDonald's and a 7-Eleven and a Foster Freeze. That's kind of it. But they do have that Marine base, on the other hand, itself is where the craziness is. That has, I think at one point it had a full replica of Fallujah out there. It's the largest Marine base in at least the U.S. It's huge. They use that desert for simulation
testing or for training.
Yeah, they built like a bunch of towns out there and all this. They go out there to like study for like when they make the Call of Duty games. Pretty crazy.
Oh, that's awesome. So Super Bowl wants to get a picture of Pat P. I imagine you're gonna be on the sidelines a little bit. You might get some photos in there.
Look, I may or may not have bought Sharpies on the off chance. However, expectations are that I'm going to be there an hour and a half 2 hours before a playoff game. Many of these guys, their first playoff game, at least in a while, some of them ever, like JJ, guys like that. I will fully understand if I don't see them anywhere near the sideline and they're in game mode. And I would probably long-term results appreciate that more. But hey, I mean, I won't, if they're over there and somebody's open to taking a picture. Coolest thing that's happened to me so far was at the Vikings Cardinals game in Arizona last year. I just kind of like uncontrollably screamed, "I love you" at Eric Kendricks, and he said, "I love you too." And it was a beautiful moment. So this might beat that.
As beautiful as your wife swiping right on Tinder, or close to it?
No, that's number one. And then the birth of my kid's going to be number two going to be a close number one, number two. I guess they kind of go hand in hand from what I've been told. But
you always it's a toss up. You always got to go with the child because the wife says the same thing. So,
it was a beautiful moment. Not quite that beautiful, but it was funnier because my wife was with me and she started swooning over the fact that it happened. So it was just a good time for all.
So I understand CBS says you were having a boy, but that's a mistake. And it hasn't been announced yet. So they jumped the gun on us.
Well, not that we haven't announced it. She actually just got the blood test today. So we will find out like next week, at some point, or 2 weeks. But no, if you listen to the WCCO radio show I was on, we're talking about if it's a boy, then, and I've been saying this for months to Jenna, where if we win the Super Bowl, we got to go Kirk, Kevin, or Justin. But now they're, recommending that as well. So she's getting sold on it. I think that there's something inherent about this season, doing our pregnancy announcement there, getting this opportunity, and potentially a Super Bowl 30 minutes from me. Potentially, again, no guarantees. I know better than that at this stage in my life, but could be a sign. Just saying.
I'll do a Twitter poll. Should Jason? And it's funny you said, "Hey, this is Jason." I'm like I know 3 Jasons. Oh shit! I'm interviewing Jason, and I was like, "What the hell?" But
you hit me with the oh hey, like a uninterested ex-girlfriend.
Oh hey, yeah, Jason, because my nephew's named Jason. I went to college with a Jason, and Jason, and my roommate in college was named Jason. So I was like, my first roommate in college. I'm like, Jason. Oh shit, yeah, I gave him my number. I forgot. But yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, but I should do a Twitter poll, and so it should be Kevin, Kirk, or Justin.
Yeah, Justin probably.
You can go with JJ. You have a J and a J.
But then, yeah, Jenna and I are already J and J. So any combination.
Oh gosh, JJ, yeah, that would be weird.
It's cool. It fits the theme of Jason, Jenna, Justin, but also it'd be a lot. So who knows?
I'm going for Kevin. And if he wins this, I think we should build a statue of him immediately. Well, actually, of every player that won that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But hey, let's talk a little bit about the game. I know I said we're going to talk about 30 minutes. We're almost there. How have you felt about this season? I know you're a fan club and you're beating the drum, and what's your fan club there thinking about this season? Give them a shout out.
Yeah, shout out to everyone at Boondocks. I am sorry for those of you I invited on Sunday who I don't have your it's usually kind of funny because like half the people I don't even have their numbers. We just talk in person and make plans the next week. So maybe you'll see this. And sorry I didn't tell you in person. Priorities changed. But awesome. When it comes to this season, I've just given up trying to. There was really 2 moments that just broke my comprehension of what is going on, and none of them were losses. It wasn't the Dallas loss. It wasn't the Green Bay loss. Yeah, those were bad, and they're especially bad, but none of them were something that I wasn't used to, at least having that type of feeling as a Vikings fan. Yeah. But the Bills game shattered my mind, and the Colts game broke my spirit and built me up as an entirely new man. I don't know the experiences I've had. We almost left at halftime. My wife wasn't feeling super great. We almost left at halftime at Boondocks at the Colts game, and there was this Colts fan talking crap the entire game, and I'm like, I just want to see how the third quarter goes.
God, that would have been.
And with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, guess who left? Yeah, so I can't. I'm not gonna pretend that I can label what the season is, because 2019 was probably the playoff season I've been a fan for that people were the least excited for the playoffs. Going straight into New Orleans, we ended up winning, but there wasn't a lot of hype coming in as a wild card team, all that. 2017 obviously was the year. Everyone had this, it has to be the year.
God, if we just had Dalvin Cook that year.
Do it for Millie, right? All these things. 2009, we're the best team in the league. We have to do this. I don't know if it's that type of year. And we always say, oh, there's something special in the air. But if we're frauds, like people say, how did Kevin O'Connell take a group of frauds to 13-4? Because at a certain point, yeah, we've had a lot of luck, but luck doesn't win you 11 straight one-score games. Luck is the Josh Allen play. That was luck, but we took advantage of it. You know what I mean? We
Well,
had the interception.
what was
at
the
the end of
chances of
game.
them keeping us out of the end zone at the 1 yard line too? So it was like 2 miracles in a row there.
Well, with the way
We had a couple chances at it.
our run game's been going at the goal line. I personally, I want to see JJ in motion more at the goal line, even Rager.
Yep.
I know that earlier in the season,
Yeah.
we had a lot of plays where against the Bears, Rager had that little toss sweep. JJ on the motion in the first game against the Packers. We weren't on the goal line. On the 4th and 1. Yeah, that type of movement. Yeah, that type of movement I think is going to be good. And hearing that JJ after the Packers game talked with KOC about getting him more flexible. I was just reading that Adoree Jackson, former USC player, liked him then, hate him now because he's the opponent. He's back, hasn't played in 11 games. I don't want to eat my words here, so I'm not guaranteeing anything. I don't see how someone can sit out for 11 games and come back on the road in a playoff game against the best receiver in football and shut him down, quote unquote. Not saying JJ is going to go for 200. That would be great. But I don't know. Guys got to be a little rusty at that stage. So
do you feel better that KJ came out at the Bears game and he had a big game earlier too? Do you feel like, hey, we got a few more weapons? I personally also want to see Jalen Naylor on the field. He's been impressive when he's got in there.
Yeah, I want to see Naylor. I think that in the pass game, outside of trick plays, motions, jet sweeps, he's going to be more valuable than Rager.
Oh, yeah, than Rager, yeah. He's definitely a better
I think Rager has a great physical skill set. I think there's potential there. But, I mean, you look at what happened. I think it was the Colts game where he just stopped moving on a couple plays. This is kind of maybe a weird take. I don't count anything that happened in that Bears game as positive or negative. It was just such a obvious attempt by the Bears to not care. But I've seen enough of KJ. I'm not a guy who 100% believes you can have a great year and then completely be awful. I think that skill's still there. I think circumstances, things like that could change that. But I think, what was it? I think against the Giants, he had a couple of big plays too. Wasn't going off like JJ or anything like that or TJ in that game, but I think he's improved steadily enough where even without the context of him going off at the beginning of the Bears game against guys who were working at McDonald's the day before, I think that he's shown himself. I think one thing where it can get dangerous is our insistence on how and when we throw to Adam. I think if you're throwing to Adam anywhere outside of the red zone, it's got to be a catch and stop, get the first down, don't worry about yak. Kind of like it was with Kyle Rudolph. I mean, he's the wide receiver version of what Rudolph was in his last couple of years here. You hit him in the end zone and you hit him on a play when they need a first down and don't need him to go any further.
Yeah, he's still got great hands.
Yeah, he's still got incredible hands, but you can tell when he's catching the ball, especially on a comeback, he's having to kind of do the cartoon thing and get the legs moving again and kind of go in a circle.
Yeah, there was a couple plays early in the year and Justin Jefferson was pointing at the end zone. Why didn't you go that way? It's because he caught the ball and he started to loop around and he should have just jetted for the end zone. And
I don't think his legs can do it anymore. I mean, we gotta,
my hope was that there was injuries early in the season. He banged his knee a couple of times. Maybe it's that. I don't know. KJ's not that, but you could look at KJ. He wasn't having as good a season either, and he's a young guy. So how much is it? The offensive game plan that week, or the play calling, or the play design. How much is that, and how much? Because when JJ took off is when we started throwing 50-50 balls.
Yeah, I would say, in my opinion, we didn't need for a while to get guys like KJ super involved. And if you look at, because like you said, those 50-50 balls, Buffalo game, just throw everything to Justin Jefferson. Even the Detroit game, other than our defense, we would have won that game at Detroit. JJ had 213 receiving yards.
There was a couple of plays that would have turned that game around for us.
100%.
Yeah.
What I think is kind of interesting is, with KJ, I don't think we needed him that much. But I think with how we're seeing teams start to play JJ, if you see something like, Jair locking him down with help from 3 people.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
going to need to get creative,
He
set
took all the
motion,
credit,
focus
and
on
like he was
JJ.
slipping
Yeah.
and sliding all over the field. Where are the right spikes? Damn it! Let's go.
Yeah, that was something where I know Wes Phillips spoke on that, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be an athletic trainer or equipment guy who knows all the details of what to do. But if that is true, then hey, lesson learned. People forget though, and like even me, I'm 30, but like Justin Jefferson's like 23. Like we are so used to this excellence.
Young dude, man.
People are disappointed and mad at him and mad at the team for not having him break the receiving record. This is 3rd year. He's 23.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and I don't think Megatron didn't do it until later in his career either. I mean, he only had 9-year career, but
yeah,
I don't think he did it in year 3.
Yeah. I think the other school of thought is that, and I think I'm good at semantics, but when you look at like the last month, I think am I going to say that Kevin O'Connell and Ed Donatel have specifically bombed games or aspects of the game in order to keep things secret? No. Do I think Kevin O'Connell has intentionally maybe held back some of the motion, some of the trickery, some of the designs over the last month, knowing that our playoff spot is pretty much
we're in the playoffs. We know we're in the
speed.
playoffs. Yeah.
I think that he's been keeping some things under the belt. I think that's a very McVay thing to do. It's a very Belichick thing to do, who are, a couple of the guys who he references all the time as far as having an impact on him. Now it comes down to execution. There could not be a more ideal situation for Kirk, unless the game was at 10 a.m. somehow, than there is this Sunday, to have the coach who believes in him, to have what I think most of us believe to be some tools we haven't seen in his pocket yet, and have that home playoff game and see what we can do.
Now, just a question or two before we let you go, man. Everybody likes to talk about Kirk Cousins. Whether or not you're a fan of him, everybody's got to be on his side going in this game for sure. And how have you felt like the difference of the culture that Kevin O'Connell has actually implemented here, like allowing him to get on the line of scrimmage with 15, 20 seconds left on the play clock, and just the trust he's put in, outward trust he's put in the offense under Kirk Cousins. Yeah, where do you believe that has been the difference? Because we were 6 and 8 or 6 and 8 in 1-score games, or
something like that last year. 69, 6 and 8.
Yeah, whatever. It was bad. And now we're 11 and 0 in 1-score games. Do you think it's Kevin O'Connell putting that trust in him and just getting that out of Kirk?
I think it's that. I think it's scheme. I think the offensive line has improved in enough ways. Obviously, you have the Twin Towers of Darisaw for most of the year, O'Neal. But like, you would have told me in August we'd be having a playoff game. One, I'd be ecstatic, like, hey, first year, and that Bradbury would have been hurt, and we would have been ecstatic to have Garrett Bradbury back. I think that's a culture that permeates more than.
I think everybody's agreeing on that, because I don't know how many times we talk about it, and we're talking about. Can you believe we're talking about how we can't wait till Garrett Bradbury gets back?
Yeah, I think that culture permeates more than just Kirk. The thing is, to see that he has 8 fourth-quarter comebacks. I'll be honest, I think we've lost a little pep in our step since Kirk retired the chains. That streak of like 3 or 4 weeks on those road games where they were doing the chains, and then he came back and said, I don't know if we can top it. Well, no, keep it going.
Well, they gave it to Peterson, and we haven't won a.
Stopped.
Well, it stopped.
It work.
So it stopped. It went to Peterson, and then we haven't won a road game until the Bears.
Yeah. No,
so I think that happened, right? Or no?
I'm trying to think.
Well, Peterson had a big game, right? He had a big game.
That's true.
And Kirk Cousins had an off game that game. Like he didn't stand out. And Peterson made the big play, and so they gave the chains to him, and then we lost to
Dallas
to the
next week.
Lions. We lost to we lost the Lions, lost the Packers, and then we beat the Bears, and I don't know if they did the chains at all. I don't think they did.
I don't think they did, but I mean, look, road game or not, we need to bring it back.
Well, let's do it. Hopefully, even though it's going to be a home game, let's bring it back this game for sure. And hey, it's been great having you on, man. I want to have you back.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm gonna be watching your Twitter to see your pictures. I'll probably be retweeting them, but I'll hopefully we can get you back next week after you come back. I know you're gonna be having to go back to work. You're gonna be on the emotional high of the Giants losing at the bank, and they're gonna be crying, and you're gonna be happy, and you're gonna be feeling sad for them. But hey, I want you to come back on the show and tell us about your experience, man. I loved having you. Any last words, any encouragement to the Minnesota Vikings before you go?
Hey, Skull Vikes, win the damn thing. I'm going to go eat some food, which I haven't done today. So,
all right, man. This guy's a busy man. He's got media appearances. He got to get packed. He's got to get
I don't deserve it.
Tomorrow.
I didn't do anything. I don't deserve it. I just
as usual, the man probably has his wife packing. So no, I'm kidding.
I'll be packing here in a bit.
I'm kidding. He's a good.
I still have my errands to do.
He's a good man, and that's why his wife swiped right. All right. It's nice. Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you, Michael Harris, the last word. Thank you for being on, Jason. Skull Vikes.